18 days of slaughter left the Kurukshetra battlefield buried under the ashes of millions. The Pandavas' prize was a graveyard. King Yudhishthira now wore the crown of Hastinapur, but his thoughts remained on the corpses of his own cousins, teachers, and elders. The throne felt heavy with the weight of blood. Beyond the palace walls, the subcontinent was fracturing. The kingdoms that had sent armies to perish in the war were rudderless and grieving. They needed an undisputed sovereign to restore order to a landscape defined by loss. The Pandavas required a single event that could simultaneously cleanse their moral guilt and force every surviving kingdom into absolute political submission. They turned to the Ashwamedha Yagna, an imperial ritual designed to consolidate power through a blend of religious ceremony and military threat. The process was uncompromising. A consecrated horse roamed freely for 1 year. Wherever it stepped, the empire claimed jurisdiction. Local rulers faced a choice: let the horse pass, signaling immediate subjugation, or stop it, declaring total war. To ensure no one interfered, Arjuna followed the horse with a massive, unstoppable legion, acting as the ritual's primary enforcer. This ritual, intended to wash away the sins of a devastating war, functioned entirely on the threat of delivering more of it to anyone who refused to kneel. The early phase of the campaign mirrored Arjuna's expectations. Kingdom after kingdom watched the imperial banner approach and surrendered without a single arrow being fired. The atmosphere shifted when the horse wandered into territories still actively mourning the losses they suffered at Kurukshetra. Arjuna found himself in agonizingly intimate skirmishes with the surviving relatives of his former enemies. He wasn't fighting strangers. He was fighting the brothers and sons of the men he had personally killed. Arjuna expected easy submission based on his reputation. Instead, he confronted the unresolved grief of the families he had destroyed. The horse systematically forced Arjuna to physically revisit the very sins Yudhishthira was trying to erase, turning the imperial tour into a confrontation with his own past. This psychological pressure finally reached a breaking point at the gates of the distant kingdom of Manipur. Arjuna arrived with the hubris of an undefeated hero, assuming the remote kingdom would buckle the moment they saw his chariot. The king of Manipur did the unthinkable. He stopped the horse and chose open war against the empire. That king was Babruvahana, Arjuna's own estranged son, born of a past relationship Arjuna had long since left behind. The ensuing battle was brutal and short. Babruvahana fired a lethal arrow that pierced Arjuna's heavy armor, sending the world's greatest warrior crashing into the dust. Arjuna survived the apocalypse of Kurukshetra, only to fall to the direct consequence of his own personal failures. With the imperial enforcer defeated on the battlefield, the entire Ashwamedha Yagna ground to a halt. The ritual's momentum was broken. The crisis was only averted when Ulupi, the Naga princess and another of Arjuna's wives, arrived to resolve the fatal stalemate. She carried the Mrityunjaya gem, a mystical artifact with the power to pull Arjuna back from the threshold of death. Though the gem restored his physical body, his godlike aura of invincibility was gone. The image of the untouchable hero had been permanently shattered before his own army. The ritual had failed its deeper purpose. It proved that an imperial decree cannot magically bypass a warrior's personal karmic debts. Back in Hastinapur, King Yudhishthira remained disconnected from the heavy price his ritual had demanded from his brother. The campaign demonstrated that the horrific realities of war cannot be sanitized by the mere threat of mass destruction. For Arjuna, the experience redefined submission. It looked less like kings bowing to a flag, and more like a father being forced to his knees by his own familial failures. Arjuna was revived to continue the mission, but his defeat at the hands of his son left a lingering shadow over the Pandava legacy. The father survived, but what happens to the son who had the strength to strike him down? We'll explore the fate of Babruvahana in the next chapter.